At the engagement party, 60 guests sat under the crystal chandelier, and my parents were seated at a folding table by the kitchen plastic chairs. My fiance's mother smiled and said, "We just didn't want the important guests to feel uncomfortable." I was about to respond when a hospital executive suddenly stood up. The $3.3 million she donated, she said, was earned through 39 years of night shifts, saving every penny and giving up everything. She's wearing an $85 dress, sitting on a plastic chair, but she deserves to sit at the head table more than anyone here. My father stood, a man who had spent his life maintaining subway tracks in New York, who had taught me that dignity doesn't need validation. He did not raise his voice, did not argue. There was only a quiet, unshakable certainty. He said one sentence, and the next 10 minutes shattered every bias in that ballroom 60 people. Myself included finally understood that wealth and value are never the same thing. My parents live in a 1960s brick house in Brooklyn. The rooftop gutters should have been replaced years ago, a $1,600 job, but they've been putting $50 in an envelope in the kitchen drawer every month for 3 years. Their 1985 wooden dining table has a wobbly leg that my father has propped up with a folded old magazine for 15 years, never thinking to replace it. "It still works," he says. "No need to waste money." My mother drives a 2013 Ford Focus with over 120,000 miles. My father usually takes the subway to work. It's easier than finding parking. They shop at budget supermarkets, clip coupons, and my mother's clothes are all from Target's discount racks. My father hasn't replaced his winter coat since I was in high school. The Harveys are a different story. They made their fortune in real estate. According to Businessweek, their net worth is $92 million. Their Long Island estate spans 14,000 square feet, with a circular driveway lined with Mercedes S-Class and Range Rovers. Ethan's Audi A7 was a graduation gift, worth $68,000. Evelyn loved to show off the crystal chandelier in their home, worth $72,000. And every tour came with a lecture on its value. Marcus, Ethan's father, has a wine cellar with 900 bottles and loves to brag about the rare vintages he's acquired. 6 months into our relationship, I brought Ethan to meet my parents. My mother made a pot roast costing just $16, a recipe she's been using since 1992, written on an oil-stained index card. My father gave Ethan his chair, an old one still working perfectly. My mother smiled and said, "Anyone who makes my daughter happy is welcome at this table." That evening was joyful. Ethan laughed sincerely, unlike at his parents' home, where politeness felt forced. I thought he understood my parents' simplicity. I was wrong. The first time I attended a Harvey Estate dinner, I wore a $175 dress I'd saved up for 2 months to buy at Macy's. Evelyn scrutinized me from head to toe, her tone dripping with barely concealed disdain. "Oh, Laya, Ethan didn't say you were so simple? But it's fine. You're cute. That's enough." The dinner was excruciating. Marcus asked which college I attended. When I said CD University of New York, his smile faded, his eyes silently asked, "That counts as college." Evelyn asked about my parents' jobs. When I answered truthfully, she sipped her wine and said, "Stable, reliable jobs," but the word mediocre hung in the air. Ethan tried to comfort me. "My parents are just used to this. They'll accept it eventually." 2 years later, nothing had changed. They never invited my parents to family gatherings. "They wouldn't fit in with our business friends," Ethan's parents said. His sister Vanessa posted vacation photos online without a trace of me. Ethan said it was a temporary decision, didn't want to bother you. "Even for our engagement photos," Evelyn said, "these are just for the Harvey family records. Your parents' photos? Plenty of time at the wedding." I kept a list on my phone of every slight. Evelyn insisted on hiring a personal shopper so I could look like I belong in the Harvey family. Marcus mocked my father in front of business partners. All he ever did was fix the subway, never seen the world. Of the 60 guests invited to our engagement party, only my parents and 3 friends were included. The rest were Harvey family connections. Evelyn said it was private, but I knew the truth. Privacy was just an excuse to keep my family from embarrassing them. 3 days before the engagement party, I went to the estate to check arrangements and saw the seating chart. Tables 1 to 14 were round, covered in imported cream Italian linen, with Chiavari chairs and white orchid centerpieces. Only table 15 was a rectangular folding table with plastic chairs, a single low-cost vase with carnations tucked by the kitchen door, half hidden behind a decorative column. I showed the chart to Ethan. He sighed impatiently. "Babe, it's just logistics. Round tables, seat 6. Your parents are 2. Don't make a big deal out of it." Mom worked hard on this. It's just one night. One night I looked at him. One night where my parents were treated like outsiders, like shame, dismissed by everyone. We had a 2-day silent treatment. He sent a message. I love you. It'll be fine. I didn't reply. It wouldn't be fine. I called my mother to mention the seating, but only said, I love you. She seemed to sense my worry and softly said, Laya, whatever happens, we're fine. Don't let it ruin your happiness. We'll go smile and come back smiling. Just take care of yourself. I cried for a long time after hanging up. They always protected me, even if it cost them. On the day of the party, Ethan and I arrived early. Table 15 looked out of place in the corner. At 6:05, my parents arrived in their old Ford. The valet paused, double-checked the list, then let them through. My father wore a deep gray suit he bought in 1999 at Men's Warehouse sold, but neatly pressed. My mother wore a navy dress from Target's discount section, $85, with the pearl earrings my father gave her for their 25th anniversary. They entered the ballroom with heads held high, not the slightest awkwardness, even as all eyes silently judged them, even as no one spoke to them. During cocktail hour, guests sipped $340 Dom Perignon and nibbled on lobster appetizers. My parents held champagne flutes, barely touching them. I tried introducing them to Ethan's relatives, but each conversation lasted seconds before the other person excused themselves. I watched my father stand among the crowd, tall and proud, yet invisible behind an unseen barrier before dinner. My parents presented their gift, a carefully wrapped small box containing a first edition 1905 pediatric care book. My mother had spent a week contacting 3 rare book dealers to find it. Paying $450, it had belonged to Ethan's late grandmother, who loved the book, and my mother had remembered Ethan mentioning it once. Ethan's eyes lit up with surprise, but Evelyn took the box without even looking, handing it to a server. Put it with the other gifts. Thank you. My mother clenched her hand tightly, yet still smiled. At 7:40, the appetizer arrived, and I could no longer hold back. I approached Evelyn. Why are my parents at table 15? Table 7 has empty seats. Evelyn set down her martini, wearing a false smile. Laya, darling, don't be naive. This party is important for Ethan's future. There are real estate moguls, your parents, they wouldn't be comfortable here. We're just protecting them from embarrassment. It's for your own good. I looked at Ethan. He lowered his head, pretending to carve a steak, shrugging. That shrug destroyed my last shred of hope he'd heard, and he didn't care. Not about my parents' dignity, not about my feelings. I returned to table 15. My father, seeing my expression, stood ready to leave with my mother. He never engaged with those unworthy. But then the ballroom fell silent. A woman in a charcoal gray suit rose. Dr. Elena, chief medical officer at New York Presbyterian Hospital, invited by Evelyn. She walked straight to table 15, eyes on my mother. Evelyn Marcus. Sorry to interrupt, but I must speak, she said. Pausing, she addressed the crowd. You all know the Harvey family donated $2.9 million to establish the Harvey Heart. Center gold-plated recognition on the wall? What you don't know is the Riley Pediatric Cancer Ward, built in 2020, fully equipped to treat children from low-income families for free. The donor, a regular nurse, who gave 80% of her savings, $3.3 million. Gas filled the room. Evelyn turned pale. Dr. Elena held my mother's hand, eyes misty. This nurse is Diane Cole. Her brother Riley died of leukemia at 6 when the hospital had no pediatric oncology ward. She spent 39 years as an ICU nurse, saved every penny, donated it all, asking only that the ward-bearer brothers name no mention of her. From its opening to now, 256 children have been treated, with a 91% survival rate, all because of Diane. She sits here in an $85 dress on a plastic chair. Treated as an outsider, yet her contribution saved lives beyond measure. Thunderous applause erupted. Guests rose to honor my mother. The hospital board chair approached. Mrs. Cole, it's an honor to know you. More and more people gathered, thanking her and sharing stories of the ward. The Harveys, at the head table, were ignored. Evelyn gripped the tablecloth, knuckles white. Marcus bowed his head in shame. Evelyn tried to apologize to my mother, my father replied coldly. We understand who you are and how you view us. No words needed. Ethan grabbed my hand. Erg and Leah, I didn't know your mother had done this. I was wrong. We can start over. I looked at him and slowly removed my 1.3 carat, $9,000 engagement ring. What I had dreamed of was now unbearably heavy. Ethio, I said calmly, your mistake isn't ignorance. It's indifference. You allowed your parents to belittle mine, equating money with value. I cannot spend my life with you. I left with my parents into the December chill, getting into the old Ford. No awkwardness, new resentment, only an unprecedented sense of relief. My father held my mother's hand. She leaned on his shoulder. I realized the wealth they truly had, dignity, kindness, and each other. The New York Post ran a story titled Anonymous Donor, a Nurse's Silent Sacrifice. Within 2 days, the Riley Ward received $920,000 in donations. The Harveys were ridiculed. Evelyn was removed from the hospital's charitable committee. Marcus lost 3 major clients. Ethan tried contacting me repeatedly. I never responded. I moved into a small Brooklyn apartment, $720 a month. Simple, but my own. I found work at a community center helping underprivileged families. Modest pay, but meaningful. My mother continued her frugal ways, fixing the roof, keeping the envelope in the kitchen drawer I bought. Now the fridge displayed photos from grateful families, children smiling brightly. 3 months later, the hospital held an award ceremony for my mother, wearing the same navy dress, tears streaming. She remained humble. I did nothing. I just didn't want anyone to suffer the pain I did losing my brother. Children and families, she held up their photos, shouting thank you. I stood in the crowd, watching my mother, finally understanding that true value isn't what you wear, where you sit, or what you own. It's what you do for others unseen. The Harveys' wealth crumbled under scrutiny, while my mother's kindness earned universal respect, the most precious metal of all. Now, I often have dinner with my parents at the same wobbly table, the same simple meals, but more satisfying than any luxury feast. I lost a wrong relationship, but preserved my most precious family and found my true self. If you've ever been underestimated, trapped by societal standards, or felt invisible in a crowd, remember, your value is never proven by money. Your kindness and sacrifices will shine brightest in ways the world can't ignore.